G'day you beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Today is a glorious day because today we're taking a look at my favourite overweight orc, Narbash. Okay guys, Narbash is a melee growth order hero. He's a guardian controller durable, which I don't particularly agree with. He has a basic attack power of 3, an ability attack power of 3, a durability of 8, and a mobility of 4. Okay, so looking at his base stats, he starts off with 500 base health, which I think is a little bit of an issue. He gets 67.4 per level, and he got 1443, which don't think is enough to really class him as durable, even though he does have health regen. His actual stat for health regen though is 1.25, ending up at 4.1, not too bad. His mana starts at 280, ends up at 1232, standard for a caster. He ends up with 5.1 mana regen, 22 basic armor, and 30.5 ability armor like everyone else. Okay, taking a look at his basic attack, which is called Wallop. His damage starts at 70, he gets 2 per level, which makes it quite dirty for a support character. Only has a 0.3 power scaling, of course, because he's a caster, so he only gets 30 damage per 100 power you put on, so it's really not worthwhile going for a basic attack build. And he has a cleave damage of 0.2, but we're not really going to be interested in that. So yeah, it's not going to scale very well, but it does do a fair bit of damage, especially early on. Okay, taking a look at his thunk. Narbash throws a drumstick that deals ability damage and stuns enemies. It has pretty decent damage, starting at 85 and ending up at 220, with a power scaling of 1, meaning you'll get 100 damage for every 100 power on your build. We're not going to go that high, obviously, but you can. Mana cost starts at 90, ends up at 135, not too bad. The cooldown is 14 seconds flat, and the stun duration starts at 0.9, ends up at 1.5, so even that 0.9 power scaling, stun duration rather, at the start of a match on an offlaner with your carry ready to follow up and you following up with those wallops that we've already said was pretty strong. You can actually get some work done early game. I like to save this ability for key moments, stopping things like Gideon ults, stopping a jungler that's barreling down on your carry, or pretty much just basically to peel for my carry, to keep someone stunned and make sure he can get his work done. Now the second ability that I take is called Soul My People, and it never used to be that great. It is a lot better now than it used to be, and it's a little bit more worthwhile with the addition of Morigesh. So it's a toggle ability that grants a health regen aura to nearby allies. It uses mana every second, okay, so at base level it consumes 11 mana per second, giving out 10 health per second. At max level it uses 44 mana, giving out 40 health. So it has a cooldown of 2 seconds once it's been used, which is not very long at all. You can just pretty much just put it straight back on. As I said, this is quite handy to deal with Morigesh's tick at the start of the game, giving your carry just enough health to survive, and it's not a bad idea to just have this on in the middle of a team fight, because any health regen is good health regen. Next up we have March. It grants Narbash and nearby allies extra movement speed for 3 seconds. It costs 75 mana flat, has a cooldown of 24 seconds, which ends up at 12 seconds, and the movement speed starts at 65 and ends up at 140, so it's a little bit more powerful than something like Tempest Pearl, and you can use it every 12 seconds for 75 mana. It's a very good ability. It's great for getting your carry out of places, helping your team members to reposition in fights, helping to chase down enemies. It's a very decent kit that he has, and it's rounded off with his ultimate. And that ultimate is Crash Bang Boom, a deafening ruckus AoE that knocks up enemies and applies a movement speed slow, dealing damage over 3 seconds. So the ability damage starts at 280 and ends up at 500, which is definitely nothing to turn your nose up at. That 500 can be very, very handy in a team fight. It has a power scaling of 1.2, meaning 120 damage per 100 power. And the mana cost starts at 100, ends up at 150. So the cooldown on this starts at 100, ends up at 70 seconds. And the movement speed slow is 500. Now 500 movement speed slow is dirty. That's as much as someone like Countess will do. The only problem that you'll have with this is with the high CC meta that we're in at the moment. He's very susceptible to being stunned out of his ult. So you need to be very aware of what is actually going on around you. If you know that there's a Rampage and a Decker, you need to bait one out and potentially have a Divine Shield to go along with your kit. So we've looked over his abilities and his scaling and his stats. So now how about we go over and have a look at my build, which is called Big Kev. Now that may be lost on a lot of people that aren't Australian, but I'm hoping a few Australians out there understand that that means that he's excited. Okay, so we'll head over there now and take a look at the build. Okay guys, so here's the Big Kev build. It has the Centurion, as you would have guessed, because we want that health. Okay, first up, we have two Toon Barriers, and we have 2 Tempered Plates. Now, the expensive Tempered Plate and Toon Barrier, they're 11 points. One has 2 major barriers, greater barriers, and a health, and the other one has 2 greater guards and a health. Okay, these are potential endgame cards to replace Divine Shield. Okay, these 2 here are just cheaper versions of these. Okay, so if I know I'm going to put Toon Barrier on, I'll put the cheap one on first at 6 CP before I have the 11 points for the expensive one. We then have a Lord's Ward. This is my dummy ward, so I take this first, I put it down, I back sell it and grab Circlet of Health. Okay, then we have our actual ward, which is a Guardian's Ward. It has 3 greater healths. Now we have a Quenching Scales with 3 basic sparks. We have an Overflowing Gifts with 2 basic sparks and a spark. We have an Honor the Pure with a lesser, a normal health, and a greater health, or if you want to, just 3 healths, that's fine. We have a Thermo Bond with a minor barrier, and we have a Divine Shield with a minor barrier and a barrier. Okay, now, as I said, I will go put my Lord's Ward on, I will put one down, I will back, and I will sell it to grab a Circlet of Health. Okay, now from here we're going to be pretty much grabbing all our active cards. Okay, so first thing we want to do is on 3 CP, go and get our ward. Okay, then we stay with our carry or wherever we're going for as long as we can until we have 7 points to max out Quenching Scales. And then we will come back with 6 points and grab Honor the Pure. Okay, from here I grab Overflowing Gifts and I max that out as well with all that mana regen. Okay, and now at this point we sort of really need to decide what we're actually going to do. If we are definitely putting the Thermo Bond on. Okay, so more than likely we will just end up backing with 8 points to put the Thermo Bond on, but considering it's so expensive, if you have 6 and you're going to back, grab one of these cheap cards. Okay, and then replace it with the Thermo Bond when you can. But now is the point where we really need to decide what we're doing. Okay, so if we're on a CC heavy team and we have, say, like a Decker and a Rampage, probably want to take that Divine Shield and try to at least soak up one of those abilities. Okay, if you're on a team that pretty much has no CC, there's not really much point taking Divine Shield, so you may as well just figure out whether the basic armor or the ability armor is going to be more beneficial and take one of them. Okay, but just for argument's sake, we're going to take the Divine Shield. Okay, now at this point, obviously, we just want to max out our health and our armor, so I would recommend probably still just going and getting all the health on first, and then go and get your armor upgrades. Okay, so like I said before, if we're not taking the Divine Shield, we have an 11-point Tempered Plate instead, or we have an 11-point Toon Barrier instead. Every single one of them get us to the same 60 CP. Now this is going to end up just giving you 6 power from our ward. Okay, it's going to give you an extra 1050 health, taking you to 2494, which is round about a good amount for Thermobond to do some work. Okay, we have an extra 24 resistance for ability, which is going to take us to 55. We have an extra 90 mana taking us to 1322, and we have an extra 2.7 mana regen taking us to 7.8. Okay, if we get rid of the Divine Shield and we grab a Tuned Barrier instead, you'll see we end up with 1200 extra health to take us to 1644, and we'll have 75 ability armor instead. Or we can take the Tempered Plate and end up with the same amount of health, but end up with only 39 ability armor and 85 basic resistance. Okay, so this build will work really well for you. Okay, so you've got your wards there. Obviously everyone knows how to use Honor the Pure. Try to use it for those big abilities. Try and block things like and Morgesh ultimates and stuff like that. I use, when I'm going to heal my team in a team fight, I will try to use Honor the Pure, Quenching Scales, and Overflowing Gifts all at the same time while putting my health regen on, because this Overflowing Gifts is going to give us 6 health regen for 15 seconds. Every 35 seconds we'll be able to use it again, so that's 90 health over 15 seconds. And then used in conjunction with your actual healing on your Song of My People, which you have plenty of mana regen for. It does use 40 per second, but considering you have a decent amount of mana regen, it's going to be able to be used a lot more than what it normally would, and you're going to get a mana back quite soon anyway. At least having that amount of mana regen means that the cost on a lot of these cards is actually not going to be so bad, as the Quenching Scales actually cost 75 mana and the Honor the Pure costs 100. So this is the build, guys. I hope that makes sense to you guys. If you have any questions on the build whatsoever, please leave them in the comment section down below. If anyone has any suggestions on the build or on how to play this big overweight orc, please, as I said, leave them in the comment section down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're not already, guys. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. I love your face, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.